قال المؤلف رحمه الله تعالى: وعن ابن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنهما أن رجالا من أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أروا ليلة القدر في المنام في السبع الأواخر، فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: أرى رؤياكم قد تواطأت في السبع الأواخر، فمن كان متحريها فليتحرها في السبع الأواخر. متفق عليه. Narrated Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma, some of the Prophet's companions sallallahu alayhi wasallam saw in their dreams that Laylatul Qadr was amongst the last 7 nights of Ramadan. Hence Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, I see that your dreams agreed regarding the last 7 nights. Therefore, whoever is to seek it should do so during the last 7 nights agreed upon.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. This hadith, hadith ibn Umar radiyallahu anhu fi Sahihain in al-Bukhari or Muslim, that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said, أرى رؤياكم قد تواطأت في السبع الأواخر. I see that your dreams agree regarding the last 7 nights, so if anyone is to seek it, he should do so during the last 7 nights. He referring here sallallahu alayhi wasallam to Laylat al-Qadr. As-Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, they saw many dreams about Laylat al-Qadr. And in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he himself saw a dream. He said, I saw in my dream that Laylat al-Qadr was a night, which is next day in the morning, I was making sujood in ma wa teen, in a mud, like water and a mud. So that means it was raining in that night. So in Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the 21st of Ramadan, he did this in Fajr prayer. When he came out from the sujood, he noticed sallallahu alaihi wasallam that it was mud and it was rain. So that means the night of the 21st at that year was considered the Laylat al-Qadr. So in Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw in his dream when it is going to be, or he saw one of the sign of the Laylat al-Qadr. So the Sahaba radiallahu anhum used to see dreams about Laylat al-Qadr and to expect when this Laylat al-Qadr going to be. And in this regard, I know you guys not Sahaba. Have any one of you saw any dreams about Laylat al-Qadr? Anyone? كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يسأل, he used to ask his companions, have you seen dream about Laylat al-Qadr? Have you seen anything in your dream about it? So النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said, إني أرى رؤاكم قد تواطأت. I see that your ru'a, your dreams, agreed upon. تواطأت, كلمة تواطأت comes from the word وطأ. Anybody knows what وطأ means? عايشة محمد. وطأ موطئ الأقدام. Very good. Anybody else? Azam, what do you think? موطئ القدم وموطئ قدميه في الصخر. إبراهيم عليه السلام. The footprints. Okay, موطئ القدم, the footprint, or where you step. So, وطأ, it means he stepped on something. Okay? That's why they call the intimacy in Arabic language wat, because the one above the woman. So usually, so that's, you step over or over something. So when you step over the, basically, or on the ground, you step, your step will make impression. So when you comes and you do another step over it, and another one, and another one, and another one, so basically when you try to find your way, you look at where people walking and you follow them. So this is called mawti'ul aqdam. It means that they basically walk in the same path, their footprint above the other person's footprint, because we follow them. So it means following, overlapping. So when he said tawata'at ru'akum, it means your dreams overlap. Your dreams comes to confirm one another. Your dreams all agreed, all in the same direction. Okay? That the Laylatul Qadr in the last 7 nights in Ramadan. And that's one of the evidence that ulama rahimahullah said, if you want to seek Laylatul Qadr, you should seek Laylatul Qadr in the last 10 days. And if you have to choose from the last 10 days and nights, you choose the last 10, you should focus on the odd numbers of the last 10 nights. And if you have to choose from the odd numbers of the last 10 nights, you should choose the last 7. And if you have to choose from the last 7, like someone, basically a night that to focus on the most, it will be the 27th. And if you have to make a choice, which is obviously you don't, you can fulfill the whole 10 days. But that's how ulama rahimahullah go through levels. So they said, because of this hadith, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if you seek it in the last 7 nights. Question. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, did he said this sallallahu alaihi wasallam in regard to this year in particular, or it is something that we can learn from it for every year comes after that? When the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam so seek it in the last 7 nights, was he referring to that year because of the dreams that they had that year, or it becomes something legislated for everyone all the time? Both opinions exist. Actually, I go more with the opinion that it says that this particular narration was only regarding that year, because we have our evidence that it came in the 21st, and that's not the last 7 nights. And we have other evidence that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, seek it in the last 10 days, not the last 7. So it looks like this hadith in particular came in regard to that year when they saw so many dreams in regard to Laylatul Qadr about that. That could be. Or it could be, no, somebody said more likely it's the last 7 nights in Ramadan. What's Laylatul Qadr? Laylatul Qadr came in the Quran in a whole surah called Al-Qadr. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قال الإمام الزهري رحمه الله سميت ليلة القدر بالقدر لعظم قدرها وشرفها من قولهم قدر أي شرف ومنزلة. Qadr, it means honor, high status. So this night it's a very honorable night, has a very high status. That's why we call it Laylat al-Qadr. Also, قال مجاهد, this night is Laylatul Hukm. Mujahid, the student of Ibn Abbas, said, this is the night of decree. The night of decree. Why? Because Allah said in the Quran, in Surah Al-Dukhan, فِيهَا يُفْرَقُ كُلُّ أَمْرٍ حَكِيمٍ. In this night, Allah decreed upon His creations whatever decree, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decide whatever decree He want to pass at that night upon His creation. So whatever decree He has for His creation, He will pass it on in that night. Who will die? Who will live? Who will be accepted? Who will go to Hajj? Who will be forgiven? Who will be saved from hellfire? Who will be among the people of paradise? Who will have children? How much your provision will be? How much money you will make or you will lose? Your health. Everything regarding you will be decreed upon or will pass on in that night. So you might say, Sheikh, isn't this already known before I was born? Isn't the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when you are in your mother womb, an angel will come and write down your rizq, your provision, your you go to Jannah or to go to hellfire, you are this. Isn't that also written at that time? Yes. But isn't written also before Allah created your mother? and your father. And it was written in the safe tablet في اللوح المحفوظ? Yes. But so why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do this multiple times is to show whomever He wants from His creation His decree. So al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, nobody has access to it. The angel who writes these 4 things about you in your mother womb, they are very limited. The angel who knows about the yearly decree, and there is even a weekly decree that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pass on and inform and give more detail that is not known to the angels or to those who will carry these, will execute these orders and will make it happen. They didn't know about it before, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it available for them. Also, Allah chooses to pass this in certain time to show you the importance of that time. Like if I have a good news to tell the community, I will choose the most important time in the day or in the week to pass it on. That's right, which is Friday. And Allah choose the most important night in the year to pass His decree, to declare His decree and what He decided for people. And that's just to show you the honor of that night, Laylat al-Qadr. Al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah said that it is a night in Ramadan, and it is a night in Ramadan. And one of the description of this night, Laylatul Qadr as well, that it is the night of blessing, Laylatul Mubarakah. Allah said in Surah 44 verse 3, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. We have sent it down in a blessed night. Okay? So, Al-Quran was sent and revealed in Laylatul Qadr. Question. Al-Quran was revealed over the course of 23 years. That's right? How can we say Al-Quran was sent down in Laylatul Qadr? How can we reconciliate between the two? Ibn Abbas said it was sent down completely in Laylatul Qadr in the first heaven, in the first sky, in a place it called Baytul Uzza, the house of Izz, the house of might, the house of honor, the house of power. That house, it is similar to the house in the earth it's called Al-Kaaba. It's similar to the house that we've been told about by the Prophet ﷺ in the 7th heaven, Al-Baytul Ma'mur, which is in the 7th. So it looks like in every one of these skies, some ulama said, a house from the earth all the way to the top of the heavens. But the one in the first heaven, it's called Baytul Uzza. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu wouldn't say this from his own because that's unseen. So that means he heard that or he got the knowledge of this from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah revealed the whole entire Quran to Baytul Uzza, saved, written, saved in a very sacred place. But it was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam through Jibreel over the course of 23 years. And one of the things that Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah said, that how Al-Quran used to be revealed, Al-Quran used to be revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Jibreel. Jibreel hears Allah, then he goes down to Muhammad and tells Muhammad what he heard from Allah. Yani Jibreel didn't go to the safe tablet or he go to Bayt al-Uzza, check which page, which date, which hour. No, he didn't take it directly from the written format. He took it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala verbally. And that's even more honoring for us. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He speaks these words, He spoke those words, heard by the angel Jibreel, bring it down to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Also, Mubarakah, blessed night. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiply the rewards in this night. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ, better than 1,000 months, yani 83 plus years. What that means? It means it will multiply as if you did this for more than 1,000 months. Yani if you give a charity, as if you've been giving charity for 83 plus years. if you read Quran as if you've been reading Quran for 83 plus years. Can you imagine that? 10 years of Laylatul Qadr, it means 800 years of living. Pure ta'ah, pure goodness. No sins. Once I heard an old man from Jama'at al-Tabligh, was giving a talk. And Jama'at al-Tabligh, very nice people, but not, usually they don't have ilm or knowledge and make all this weak ahadith. But sometimes you learn a great deal of wisdom from people. And this is a lesson that you should try to learn from everybody. So this old man, in the beginning, I wasn't I was in Saudi Arabia. I didn't get really much to think about. He doesn't look like scholar or anyone or anything. So just a person stood up. Then he said, "Ya Jama'ah, yeah, brothers, did you notice that our ummah lived very short period of time? Lived like 60s, 70s. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam died 63 years old. Nuh just to spend in da'wah 950 years. And they live very long life. Why Allah made the Ummah Muhammad, which is the most beloved one to him, they live so short, and these other people live so long. We should, Allah loves us more and let us live more." Then he said, "I realized that actually it is an honor and mercy and better for us not to live that long." Can you imagine you need to pray 5 times a day for 1,000 years? Can you imagine you need to fast every month for 1,000 years? That's hard to keep up with this for all this, and you'll be held accountable for it. And the more you live, the more chance to do sins. That's right. So it accumulates as well over you. But instead, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a short period of time. But instead, He tells you, if you go pray in Mecca, one salah, 100,000 salah. طيب Shaykh Ibrahim, if you pray 2 days in Mecca, how many salah is this? 1 million salah. 1 million prayers. You know that you need to live around 450 years to pray 1 million prayers. And in order for you to pray the 5 daily prayers 1 million times, that means it's a 450 years of living. You just lived in 2 days in Mecca, around that number, 450 years. And you don't have any sin during these years. You get only the good of it, which is the salah. When you come, you just prayed masjid here, Asr. That's right, we pray Asr together. That's 24 time doubles. Yani as if you pray Asr 24 times, according to some of Ahl al-Ilm. That's a 24 days extra in your life. You do this every day. Do you see how you multiply your age? It's amazing how Laylatul Qadr, 83 plus years, let's say 83. You're adding up to your life. Yani umrak al-intaji, yani the productivity in your life becomes so high, even though the span or the life or the time that you spend is very short. And when he said that, I was very surprised by how wise this is. I never read that before, actually. So, this is part of the blessing of this night, that Allah multiply the reward for you. That's why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man hurimaha faqad hurima al-khayra kullah, wala yuhramu khayruha illa mahrum." The one who missed this night is such a loser. And the one who loses this night is the one who is absolutely mahrum, losers. Also, part of the blessings of this night, that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in some of the hadith that, or Al-Quran speaks first. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. The angels comes down and Jibreel comes with them. Jibreel is the chief of the angels. In some of the narrations, that the number of angels in the earth that day, like the number of the sand grains on the face of the earth, like the numbers of the drop of the rains. Billions and billions of angels coming down for what purpose? To pray for you. To say, oh Allah, forgive him. Oh Allah, forgive her. Oh Allah, raise her level in Jannah and raise him level in Jannah. They pray for you. Oh Allah, accept from them. Also, this is a night of peace. Laylatul Salama. Salamun hiya hatta matla al-fajr. Peace and free from any harm. Free from the shaitan. Free from the anger of Allah. Free from the punishment of Allah. You will be only receive peace and greeting from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah greet his servants at that day. Peace because it leads to the house of peace, which is Jannah, Darus Salam. Peace because in this day Allah heals. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevent so many evil and bad things that was supposed to happen for someone. Allah will prevent it from happening just because of that, the blessed of that night. So, as I said, this is basically a very blessed night, Laylat al-Qadr. So here, As-Sahaba radiallahu anhum, their dreams came to support one another that it will be happening in the last 7 nights in Ramadan. And this hadith shows you that if you want to look for Laylat al-Qadr, you should focus on the last 7 nights in Laylat al-Qadr, in Ramadan, the last 7 nights. And we will come to more detail in a little bit. So I'm going to keep the talk about when is Laylat al-Qadr exactly until we read next hadith. Go ahead.
وعن معاوية بن أبي سفيان رضي الله تعالى عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال في ليلة القدر ليلة 27 رواه أبو داود والراجح وقفه. Narrated Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan radiyallahu anhuma, with regards to Laylatul Qadr, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, it is the 27th night. Reported by Abu Dawud, the strongest opinion is that it is mawquf, saying of a companion.
Do you have anything else?
Yeah.
Read.
وقد اختلف في تعيينها على 40 قولا أوردتها في فتح الباري. 40 different sayings were mentioned regarding the exact night of Laylatul Qadr, and I mentioned them in Fath al-Bari, the explanation of Sahih al-Bukhari by Hafiz ibn Hajar.
So this hadith Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, وعن أبيه, that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Laylatul Qadr is the 27th, that's actually not hadith Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's a statement from Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. And attributing it to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not correct. It is a statement from Muawiyah, as Abu Dawud himself mentioned that, and others, that, and al-Muallif rahimahullah ibn Hajar said, was sahihu waqfuh. It is a statement from Muawiyah. He took that opinion, but it's not something from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then Ibn Hajar said that he mentioned 40 different opinions in his book Fath al-Bari. Fath al-Bari is an explanation for Sahih al-Bukhari. That shows you that this book, Bulugh Al Maram, written after Fath al-Bari. And Fath al-Bari is the best explanation for Sahih al-Bukhari. But I can say it is the best explanation to any book, to any text, to any hadith text. حتى أن الشوكاني قال لا هجرة بعد الفتح. No one should try to explain Sahih al-Bukhari after Ibn Hajar rahimahullah. Yani that's the best can be ever done. And it took him more than 20 years to write Fath al-Bari rahimahullah ta'ala, to write this book. More than 20 years to write his explanation of Sahih al-Bukhari. Such an encyclopedia in itself. He said that he mentioned 40 opinions. As a matter of fact, to be accurate, Ibn Hajar in Fath al-Bari mentioned 46 opinions, not 40. He said there is 46 opinions about Laylat al-Qadr, which is ironic because some of these, we don't have even 46 nights in Ramadan. We have only 30 nights in Ramadan. But you have 46 different opinions. And I can tell you that some of these opinions are completely rejected and wrong. Marduda. Like what? Like the one who says there is no Laylat al-Qadr. There is even someone said that? Yes. Someone said there is no Laylat al-Qadr. Why? They said because the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he came to the companion, he said, إِنَّهَا رُفِعَتْ. Yani I was going to be told when Laylat al-Qadr, but this been taken away. قالوا رفعت يعني ليلة القدر رفعت فلا توجد. They said رفعت, taken away, it means Laylat al-Qadr does not exist anymore. That's not true because Laylat al-Qadr is the night that many things happened in it in the past. Allah revealed the Quran, it is where the decree passed. It's like, you can't say it just canceled. Okay? So that's completely wrong and goes against Al-Quran. Salamun hiya hatta matla' al-fajr. Go against the overwhelming numbers of hundreds of narrations talking about Laylat al-Qadr from the Prophet ﷺ and the companions. Also, some of these opinions are very weak. Very, very weak. Like those who said Laylat al-Qadr is the mid of Sha'ban. Okay? And some said it's a night in the year. One night in the year. It's been said that Ibn Mas'ud said that. قال أنه ليلة في السنة ليلة القدر. Also Al-Hasan al-Basri reported that he said that. That it is one of the night of the year. So you have to care for all the year, every night in the year to get Laylat al-Qadr. But nobody, this is also very weak opinion. Also, another weak, if I categorize it as well, I would say there is another category which is not very strong, or not strong, let's put it that way. إذن هناك أقوال مردودة باطلة ضعيفة جدا مرجوحة. It's not strong. Like what? Like those who said it's in the first 10 days of Ramadan. Some scholars said the first 10 days of Ramadan. Some said actually in the mid of Ramadan, because people avoid the middle of Ramadan, and they said, and it is in the middle. It's kind of to encourage people to take care of the middle of Ramadan. Also, some said, Laylat al-Sabi' Ashar, the 17th of Ramadan, it's the night of Badr. Why? They said because this is the night where Allah sent Jibreel and the angel. But Allah sent Jibreel and angel many times. And sent, the angel of the mountain with Jibreel to the Prophet ﷺ in the day of al-Ta'if and many other incidents. I will say the strong opinions in regard to Laylat al-Qadr are the following. Number one, it is one of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Odd or even. It could be both. And that's interesting. One of the way Ibn Taymiyyah looked at it, Ibn Taymiyyah said, there is two ways to count the odd numbers. He said, if the month is 30 days, and you count from the bottom up, like 30, 29, 28, 27. If you go the last 10, counting from the bottom up to 20, what you consider now odd will be even, and what you consider even will be odd. It will be the opposite if you count backwards. And he said, and if you count from the 20 go down, from the 20 going down, you will have the 21st, the 22nd, the 3rd, 25th, the 27th will be the odd numbers. And he said both can be possibly understood from the text. So here, that's why you focus on the last 10 days, and that's about it. Ibn Umar radiallahu anh Umar radiallahu anh he asked a group of companions, and he asked them about when Laylatul Qadr. They all agree it is one of the last 10 nights in Ramadan. They didn't specify. They said one of the last 10 nights. Umar, when he asked that, he approved what the companion said. And that's why people said that's the opinion of the majority of the companion, that it is one of the nights in the last 10 nights. And Abdul Razzaq reported as well that Ibn Abbas said it is one of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Some said, no, it is the night of the 21st. That's Laylatul Qadr. Why? They said because the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that that night he saw in his dream that he will be in the morning, Fajr prayer, praying in the mud, in a pile of water on the ground. And it will be like a mud, and it will have a mark in his forehead. And that happened exactly in the Fajr of the 21st. So, but for me, that incident, it is in regard to that year in particular. It doesn't mean it has to happen every time. That also led me to tell you that I also do believe that one of the alamat, the sign that people say that it will be raining, that happened to be that year, but it could happen with no rain at all. طيب ما هو في one of the years, many years, we had the whole Ramadan, not a single drop of rain. يعني خلاص no Laylatul Qadr that year? No. So when the Prophet saw the rain, it was in particular for that night. Particularly for that night. It's been said it is the 23rd. And in it, a hadith, في الصحيح عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, that Laylatul Qadr happened to be in the 23rd in one of the years. Ubay ibn Ka'b كان يقسم بالله. He said, I swear by Allah, it is the 27th. Okay? And many companions and successors and scholars agreed on that. And it became so popular, this opinion, to until today, the Muslims all over the world, they call the 27th Laylat Qadr. Is that the same case in Pakistan? Because in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, in many parts of the world, Jordan, and in many parts of the world, they consider 27th as Laylatul Qadr. Come and see the masjid in the 27th. Which shows, alhamdulillah, iman and taqwa in people and love for khair. Okay, that they want, they take advantage of that night. But it is also the opinion of Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu. And that's the choice of Imam Ahmad. عندنا في المذهب في مثل الحنابلة. That's the opinion of Imam Ahmad rahimahullah. And some said, no, it's not the last 10 nights. It's the odd numbers of the last 10 nights. Al-Awtar, 21st, 23rd, 25th, 27th, 29th. One of these nights. طيب. Is it one night? One of these nights? Or it can be different every year? القول الأول, the first opinion, which is قول Malik rahimahullah, and Sufyan al-Thawri, and Imam Ahmad, and Ishaq, and many of the Hanafi scholars, and one opinion among the Shafi'iyya, that it moved every year from one day to another, from one night to another. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to be this year, this night, wanted to be this year, this night, wanted to be this year, that night. Why? So none of the nights of Ramadan will be left. So you try your best every year to make ibadah and to worship Allah every night in Ramadan. What's the proof for that? They said the proof that in the Prophet ﷺ time, we have evidence that it one year was 23rd, one year it was 27th, one year it was 21st. And all of them authentic. So that means every year was different. There is no one year where people debate 21st versus 27. No, it's 21st, 23rd, another year, a third year, this. So that means it was different every year. That's why the ulama said 27 is most of the years comes in 27. But it could happen outside 27. other opinion, and this is Ibn Hazm rahimahullah, very strict about that, and he wrote about this, and some of the Shafi'iyya as well. They said, no, it is one night, fixed night every year, and that's about it. But somebody said, Sheikh, the night in New Zealand and Australia different than here. The night in Indonesia different than here. The night in Egypt different than here. So which night? So the angel until Fajr. Type Fajr done in Egypt. What about us here? We didn't start yet. We said it is the 23rd anywhere in the world. If it's 23rd, it's the 23rd in Australia, 23rd here, it doesn't matter even. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala timeline is not like us. Allah doesn't go by 24 hours. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided according to us what He wants for us subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how this works, we don't know, because we don't know how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the concept of time for Him looks like. It's different. Allah said one day of His days is like 50,000. And one of His days also like 1,000. So the whole concept of time is completely different, calculated in a different way than us. In Jannah, there is no 24 hours. There is no sun, there is no moon, there is no rise. But we still have Friday in Jannah. We still have weekdays. We still have day and night. But the time, this is the world of unseen. You cannot basically understand it in the same way or how or nature of the world of the seen. What we learn? We learn that we should care for every night in Ramadan in order for us to get the reward of Laylatul Qadr. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, whoever pray that night, Allah forgive his sins. Laylatul Qadr. And it is, as I said, in one of the nights where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the angel, and one of the night where a dua is only highly recommended. That's why Aisha, she said, in the hadith been reported, Aisha said, what should I say? What the dua should I do if I know about Laylatul Qadr? Okay? And some of the hadith give some signs. For example, the morning of Laylatul Qadr, تطلع الشمس لا أشعة عليها, have no rays. There is no rays for the sun. The sun comes out with no rays. There is a group of scientists, they put telescopes and every year they watch it and they post it online when the sun comes with no rays. And I've seen something of that. I have seen sometimes on one of the Ramadans, or multiple times actually, where the sun really comes up high and no rays. It's very strange. It's not like any other day. Very different. But what I want to say this, I know you guys fasting, but can you focus with me on the following statement? That's something logical, okay? العلامة لا يلزم من وجودها ما تدل عليه. The sign do not necessitate what they are signed for. Does that make sense? What I mean by that? If it's raining, what's the sign for rain? Cloud. What else? If it was raining outside, what will be a sign that it was raining? You see so cloudy. What else? You see wet floor. That's right. The ground is wet. Question. Having clouds, is that necessitate that it was raining? No. Having a wet street, does that necessitate that it was raining? Was it? Is it? Maybe Muhammad or Ahmad went outside and he just put the water to cool down the street. I mean Muhammad, the one who take care of the grass, was watering the grass. He just liked to put, doesn't. That's right, that's a common sense. So what I'm saying is, the existence of these signs don't make it for guarantee that this is Laylatul Qadr. It is not necessarily. So this is something important because some people treat these signs as if it is evidence. There is a difference between evidence and signs. Symptoms, doctors. When you guys see symptoms, that means necessarily that he has this disease? No, just a sign. So common, it's a logic. But a lot of people I've been noticing lately, people deal with these signs as it's evidence and facts. Khalas, this is Laylatul Qadr. And I would like people to take that easy a little bit. We hope, inshallah, it is Laylat al-Qadr. طيب. Also, does that sun rise with no rays for it, does that apply to every year? Or it was only that night where Ubay ibn Ka'b witnessed? That's another legit question to ask. Some ulama said that these signs that it was mentioned in the hadith was only the sign that was seen in dreams or noticed by the Ka'b, but it doesn't mean it muttarid. It means that this will have to be the sign every year. Some scholars even question that. In Laylatul Qadr, I encourage all of us, beside praying, making dua, repentance, giving charity, reading Quran, what else we do? I'll tell you about one thing you should do in Laylatul Qadr. It doesn't cost you money. It doesn't take much effort from you. But it is so important, which is to forgive those who have wronged you. And there is indication to this from what we're going to read next. From what we're going to read next, the hadith that comes next. But this is some ibadah very easy and something loved by Allah so much. To say, I forgive. To forgive what? Okay. Yeah, I took a loan from Jamal, and Jamal will said, you know what, Sheikh Waleed, I forgive your loan. I, for example, wrong Abu Waleed, and maybe I did something to him wasn't good. And Waleed would say, you know what, you hurt my feeling that day, Sheikh Waleed, but I forgive you. You know what, my wife, she treated me bad. She divorced me. She took half of my money. You know, she made me broke. She destroyed but she did so many evil things to me. But you know what? I forgive her, my ex-wife. You know, my husband is someone who abusing me, who did this. You know what? I forgive him. My son, who didn't talk to me all these years, who not been nice to me. My daughter, my sister, and so forth. So those who have wronged you. By the way, we don't forgive those who have done nothing to us. And I done nothing to Muhammad Saad. He didn't say, I forgive you. For what? I had done nothing to him. Maybe it's the other way around. But, you only forgive those who have done something wrong to you. Forgiveness is a great ibadah. Let's read the next hadith to see how this is very connected to Laylatul Qadr. Go ahead.
وعن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت قلت يا رسول الله أرأيت إن علمت أي ليلة القدر ما أقول فيها قال قولي اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عني رواه الخمسة غير أبي داود وصححه الترمذي والحاكم. Narrated Aisha radiallahu anha, I said, O Allah's Messenger, tell me if I know which night is Laylatul Qadr, or what should I say in it? He said, say, O Allah, you are forgiving and love forgiveness, so forgive me. Reported by al-Khamsa, except Abu Dawud, and at-Tirmidhi and al-Hakim authenticated it.
First of all, Hadith Aisha radiallahu anha wa ardaha اختلف أهل العلم في صحته al-ulama rahimahumullah debated over the authenticity of this narration. And أكثر أهل العلم, the majority of the scholar of hadith, will tell you that this is a hadith mursal, because this hadith reported by Abdullah ibn Buraidah said that Aisha said. Abdullah ibn Buraidah, he did not hear anything from Aisha. He was very, very young in age when he met Aisha radiallahu anha. All his ahadith that he narrated from Aisha radiallahu anha, in Sahih al-Bukhari, for instance, he's an authentic narrator, he's a trustworthy, but all his ahadith in al-Bukhari لم يروي له عن عائشة مطلقا إلا بواسطة. He reported al-Bukhari for Abdullah ibn Buraidah, narrating through someone, through Aisha radiallahu anha. For instance, Yahya ibn Ya'mur في Sahih al-Bukhari. Abdullah ibn Buraidah said, Yahya ibn Ya'mur told me that Aisha said. But never, because he was very young, and many scholars like Imam al-Bayhaqi rahimahullah and Imam al-Daraqutni talked about that and أعلوا الحديث بهذا. They said that this narrations, there is missing link in it. Even though at-Tirmidhi rahimahullah consider it Sahih and al-Hakim, but to be in a very technical, you will say that this hadith mursal. Basically, there is a missing person between Abdullah ibn Buraidah and Aisha radiallahu anha. Add to this, when al-Bayhaqi narrated this narration, شوف كيف al-Bayhaqi هذا one of the great ulama al-hadith. When he narrated this hadith, he narrated in a completely different form. He said, he narrated that Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, والله لو علمت أي ليلة ليلة القدر. If I would know which night is the night of Al-Qadr, I would say nothing but ما سألت الله إلا العفو والعافية. I will not ask anything except al-afu wal-afiyah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives me and free me from anything that it can harm. Al-afu wal-afiyah. قال بعض أهل العلم, some ulama said, what that means, al-afu wal-afiyah. Al-afu عما سلف والعافية عما سيأتي. يعني to forgive what happened in the past, and to let go what happened in the past, and to forgive what might happen in the future. Also, al-afu means protection. يعني protect me from anything that I did in the past. Wallahi, when I make this dua, I think about so many things. I share with you my personal reflection. When I made this dua, when I say, oh Allah, as'aluka al-afu, yani, oh Allah, protect me from what I did in the past. Because I did in the past sins that I know it can hunt me down, and I know it can hurt me in my future. But also, I know in the past, I never took care of my body. You know, I never took care of my health. I don't have health conscious. I used to eat bad food. I used to do, bad habit in eating and stuff like that can harm me. So when I said, As'aluka al-afu, yani Allah protect me from what I did in the past that might harm me in the future when I get old. Maybe in the past I did things to people that wasn't maybe the nicest thing. And I know maybe I will pay for it in advance, in the dunya or in the akhirah. So I said, Ya Allah, protect me from whatever wrong things I did to people in the past, that it might harm me in my future. And the same thing, al-afiyah, yani Ya Allah, protect me from anything that might harm me in my future. Is it a sin? Is it related to my health? Is it related to financial decision that I made? Is it related to relationships with people? Did you see how wide this is? And the future is in the dunya, the future in the grave, the future in the day of judgment, and so forth. The more you reflect upon your dua and the more you generalize it, the more you have the intention for it to reach out so far, the more powerful the dua is. And that's why I do believe that this is one of the most unique dua that you can ever ask. And if there is one thing that covers every aspect in life, it will be al-afu wal-afiyah. Cover wealth, cover health, cover iman, cover relationships, cover everything. Cover the past, cover the present, cover the future. Cover the dunya, cover the akhirah. What do you want more than that? That's why when she said, if I witness Laylatul Qadr, this is a chance to do the best, it will be that dua. So I encourage each and everyone to always remember two words. Allahumma inni al-afu wal-afiyah. Ya Allah, grant me al-afu wal-afiyah. Unfortunately, there's no word in English really to encompass the meaning of al-afu wal-afiyah. That's why I encourage you to understand it and use the Arabic terms. Al-afu wal-afiyah. Because you don't want to be in English saying, oh Allah, protect me from what I might did happen. It's going to be too long of a sentence. But just remember this, al-afu wal-afiyah. Because we all done things in the past, it can harm us in the future. We all made the wrong decision in the past. And we might do in the future as well. And we will do in the future. So you ask Allah for protection from that. That hadith also shows you that some people might notice Laylatul Qadr. Allah give them the ilm or the indication that this through dream, through feeling, through signs. Okay? Also it shows you that one of the most important things to do during Laylatul Qadr is a dua, because Aisha, what should I do? Also, I love how the answer was so simple. Wallahi, sometimes I tell myself, I need to learn this as a sheikh more. Okay? Sometimes when people ask me questions, I just complicate things for them. You know, and as a scholar, as a teacher, you need to learn how to simplify things. She said, what should I do if I witness dua, if Laylatul Qadr? If one of us donate and give and salli and she give a long list of 20 things you need to do. He said, just say, Allahumma nas'aluka al-afwa wal-afiyah. It's a very different mindset. That the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam liked to make things easy, but also smart. That he gave her a very unique, powerful dua to do. Also, this gives you an indication that Inna Allah afu yuhibbul af. Allah loves forgiveness, love to let things go. So in another word, if He loves that, He will loves to see you doing it as well. To let things go. And as I said earlier, that let things go, that especially with relatives, with friends. Just forgive and forget. Move on in your life. And don't ever think that forgiveness is a sign of weakness. I found in my life, weak people cannot forgive. Only strong people can forgive. And don't ever think that when you forgive someone who wronged you, it means you're not going to get reward. You're going to get reward of being abused and being forgiver. Don't think that forgiveness, it means that you give them a break. No. You only give yourself a break. You only set your heart free. Because when you don't forgive, you attach yourself to that person in a very negative way. And when you forgive, you just let things go. So if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you, learn how to forgive as well. Now with the last hadith, you go ahead.
وعن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تشد الرحال إلا إلى 3 مساجد المسجد الحرام ومسجدي هذا والمسجد الأقصى متفق عليه. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu ta'ala an, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, do not set out on a journey except to 3 mosques, al-Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, my masjid in Medina, and al-Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem, agreed upon.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. This hadith, Hadith Abi Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu, was reported from a large number of companions. Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, Abu Hurairah, Jabir, Ali ibn Abi Talib, to the extent that some ulama said this hadith is mutawatir. This hadith is mutawatir, yani reported by a large number of narrators and companions. So, لا تشد الرحال. الرحال is a metaphor to which it means travel. الرحال, it means basically to put your traveling gear, to put your suitcase, because they used to put their traveling clothes and the needs, the thing that the traveling gear, they put it on the top of the rahl, which is the camel or the mule or the horse. They put it in the back of it. Okay, so that's why there's this word originally came from it. ظهر البعير هو الرحل. So it means kinaya عن السفر. It's a metaphor which means traveling. You should not travel, okay, to any masjid except these three masajid. This hadith, لا تشد الرحال. For those who are good in Arabic language, لا ناهية ولا نافية. لا, it is to forbid or it is to negate. نافية بدليل أنها مضمومة. لا تشد الرحال. So this is a negation. The Prophet ﷺ said, he negating that traveling be done to any masjid except these three. But even this is a statement, but this is in Arabic language a very unique. That's why we don't translate it as a statement. We translate it as an order. As an order by saying, do not. جعلناها ناهية. لماذا؟ لأن هذا يسمى خبر يراد به الإنشاء. It's a statement, but it meant to be an order, not a statement. يعني when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوء. Divorced women wait 3 periods. It means divorced women, you should wait 3 periods. يعني يا أيها المطلقات تربصن. Amr. So this is very common in Arabic language. So here, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that yes, he making a statement that traveling to any masjid should not be done except to these 3 masajid. But he meant by that it is forbidden. It is absolutely forbidden. Because when a statement came, when the Arabic language comes a form of a statement and it meant an order, it is the most strong way of saying don't. It's the most strong way of saying do, to make a statement, not to make a direct order. So here, in Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbidding people to travel to any masjid except to these 3 masajid. Al-ulama rahimahullah split 2 groups to understand this text. قال بعضهم لا تشد الرحال إلى أي مسجد إلا هذه ال3 مساجد. You're not allowed to travel to any masjid except to one of these 3 masjids. Mecca, Al-Haram, Masjid Al-Haram Mecca, Masjid Al-Nabawi in Medina, or the Jerusalem, Masjid Al-Aqsa. So if you want to say, you know what, I want to travel to visit the Blue Mosque in Turkey. I think the prayer in Blue Mosque is very special. I'm only going to Turkey only to pray there. That's the only reason for me to travel to Turkey, is to pray in the Blue Mosque. We said that's haram, it's not allowed. You know what? I heard that in the mountain of Uhud that there is a masjid. So I'm traveling all the way to Uhud to pray in that masjid. That's not allowed. I'm going to travel all the way to Mexico because there is this blessed masjids, and very rewarding to pray there. Is not allowed. Any masjid other than 3, you don't travel just for the sake of the masjid. Okay? Other people, so that's one understanding. The other understanding says, لا تشد الرحال إلى أرض. مسجد هنا ما تعني مسجد يعني الصلاة. إلى أرض للتعبد فيها إلا هذه الثلاث. They said masjid, it means place. That's why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, جُعِلَتْ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا. The whole entire earth is a masjid for me. It means the place that I'm allowed to worship. خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مسجد. Every time you want to pray, you should dress properly. Anywhere in the masjid, the mosque, or outside. So the word masjid comes in the Sharia language referring to any place that you go to worship Allah. So they said, the Prophet said, you're not allowed to travel to any place seeking reward, seeking ritual act in a place except in these 3 places. What's the difference between the first understanding and the second understanding? The first one limiting it to the masjid. That's why people came and said, if you travel to the shrine, to the graveyard, or to the grave of CD so-and-so to worship Allah there, it's allowed. Nothing to forbid you. If I want to go travel all the way to this cave in Mecca, the only intention, I'm going to the cave of Hira to worship Allah there. And I travel all the way there for that reason. It's halal. The only thing not allowed is to go to a masjid. But you're allowed to, the hadith didn't speak about any other than masjid. And that's not a masjid. That's a grave. That's a shrine. Have you heard about in Multan in Pakistan, they have something called Bab al-Jannah in the 27th. You will find literally 200,000 people line up. It's like a gate, okay? And you walk inside that, and if you walk into it, it guarantees that you walk into Jannah. People travel from all over the world just to go to that place to walk through that gate. You know what? There is a Mawlid in Egypt for Sayyid al-Badawi. 2 million people will show up in that Mawlid, in that celebration. They travel from all over the world to come to that shrine and spend 7 days. They call it Hajj. Kida Hajj, they call it. They said it's allowed. And Nabi didn't forbid traveling to a shrine. He only forbade traveling to a masjid. You following? The other group scholars said, no, the hadith doesn't mean masjid, literally. That means you can tell a Muslim, by the way, it's haram for you to travel to Masjid Quba, but you're allowed to travel to the shrine next to Masjid Quba. No aql will ever allow this. As doesn't the Sharia goes. So the other group said, no, it means you're not allowed to travel to any place, لأي بقعة بقصد التعبد, to any spot, seeking the special reward in that spot, in that place, seeking a specific worship, act of worship, or seeking a specific reward in that spot, except in 3, Mecca, Medina, and Jerusalem. Because in Mecca, 100,000 double, in Medina, 1,000 double, in Jerusalem, 500 doubles. No one else get that. A special treatment. طيب. This understanding is the understanding, the second one, which is you're not allowed to travel to any place for the purpose of seeking reward or ritual or ibadah, except the 3 masajid. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, when Qaza'a asked him, I want to go to the mountain of al-Tur. I want to travel to Mount al-Tur, seeking the blessing, seeking the reward. Ibn Umar told him, Da' anka al-Tur. Don't go to al-Tur is a mountain in Sinai. He said, don't go there. That's the mountain where Allah spoke to Musa alayhi salam, they say. So he said, don't go there. didn't you hear what the Prophet said? لا تشد الرحال إلا إلى ثلاثة مساجد. You're not allowed to travel except to 3 masjids. Tur at that time doesn't have a masjid. There is no masjid for Muslims there. But he going to that area, somewhere in the mountain, maybe it's a cave or it's a place where people think it's a blessed, because this is where Musa used to be. So here we say that this is a proof that Ibn Umar understood that this hadith has not to do with the masjid. It has to do with any spot, any place that you think there is an extra reward of traveling to, or a place to go to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in it. Never been said other than that from the Salaf rahimahumullah that they allowed traveling to visit any a place or a spot or a location. They believe that there is a special reward in it. Also, I want to say, does this hadith, if we say that, so the purpose of traveling is for the act of worship, for the ritual, for believing in that spot, there is a specific reward for being there, for worshiping Allah there. But if you're going there for not that reason, I'm traveling to Pakistan to study under the great scholar of Pakistan, the Grand Mufti of Pakistan. Is that allowed? Yes, it's allowed. Because I'm not going to a specific spot. I'm going to the person to study with him. Type, you know what? I am traveling all the way to San Diego, to Alabama Street. I'm making free advertising for them. Because there is a hole in the wall there, a Lebanese guy who has something called Mama's Bakery. If you go to San Diego, don't miss it. One of the best sandwich you can have. Okay? It's just a small place. I travel all the way to San Diego just to eat there. Yet there is another restaurant I can tell you. It's allowed for you to travel from Houston all the way to Seattle just to eat there. It's called Three Crops. It's actually maybe mustahab even. I'm just kidding. Now, they have very good food. You can travel all the way. But this has not to do with the hadith. The hadith talk about someone travel to a place because he believe in that place there is a special reward, a special quality that Allah put in it, a blessings in it. That's different than just going to, going for tourism, going just to explore Turkey. I want to go see that blue mosque, how beautiful it is. That's fine. I just want to go all the way to Turkey to know how they build this beautiful masjid. That's fine. The issue that really became the hot button in all this, are you allowed to travel to Medina to visit the Prophet ﷺ grave? I'm going to go all the way to Medina with the intention of only visiting the Prophet ﷺ grave. So I travel to visit the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. This became a very hot button, a very hot issue. And I want to make a few points that's very important for you to distinguish. Number one, there is a difference between traveling to visit the Prophet ﷺ's grave and between visiting the grave of the Prophet ﷺ without traveling. So if you travel to visit the masjid, to pray in the masjid, but while you are there, you go and you give salam to the Prophet ﷺ, to visit the Prophet ﷺ, it's allowed. You are in Medina and you go to the masjid for the intention only to visit the Prophet ﷺ's grave, that's fine. You leave your hotel and you go to the Prophet ﷺ's grave to give him salam, that's fine. No Muslim ever will say it's haram. No Muslim ever did. No one ever said that. I'm saying this because Shaykh al-Islam bin Taymiyyah rahimahullah was put in jail and was claimed kafir, and they want to kill him because they thought when he gave his famous fatwa that it's not allowed to travel to Medina to visit the grave, that he said it's not allowed to visit the grave, period. No, all what he said is not allowed to travel from one country or one city to another to the Medina for the intention of only going there only because to visit the Prophet ﷺ. He said that's haram. And the hadith, he said, you're not allowed to travel to any place except 3 masjids. So number 1, to differentiate between the two. Number 2, make it crystal clear. There is no evidence at all, authentic, explicit, clear, or even clearly indicate there is a special reward of visiting the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not a single narration is narrated in this regard is authentic. All the narrations that we have about visiting the grave of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's either completely fabricated. It's a pure lie, or it is a fabricated, or it is rejected munkar hadith, or it is very weak hadith. As Imam al-Uqayli rahimahullah and many other, Ibn Abdul Hadi rahimahullah, and many of ulama al-hadith have looked one by one and show us that these are ahadith munkara and mawdu'ah wa kadhib kama yaqul Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. But in it, very, very weak narration. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah said, all the ahadith that came mentioning or ordering people to visit the Prophet grave, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, specifically, or there is a special reward of visiting the grave of the Prophet, all of them are weak. Not a single one of them is acceptable. So hadith like, man hajja falam yazurni faqad jafani, hada la asla lah. Whoever make hajj and it didn't visit me, he's like being harsh to me, or like ish jafani, being rude to me, is fabricated. Or whoever visited my grave, he received my intercession, is no base. All these ahadith is made up. There is nothing authentic at all about it. Number 3, visiting the grave of the Prophet ﷺ is fall under the general recommendation of the Prophet ﷺ to visit the graveyard. And it's been the practice of the Muslims generation after generation. When they go to Medina, they go and they give the respect and they give salam to the Prophet ﷺ. The next point, what about someone travel to visit the grave of the Prophet ﷺ? Those who said the hadith, you're only not allowed to travel to any masjids, they said that's masjid, and in Nabi graveyard, it's not a masjid, so it's allowed. And who said that? Many of the late scholars, al-mutaakhirin min al-ulama, in all the madahib, and just give you samples, otherwise there is a large number of ulama, like al-Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, al-Hafidh ibn Hajar rahimahullah, Ibn Qudama min al-Hanabila rahimahullah, أيضا الذهبي رحمه الله. And there is a good number of scholars who said it's allowed to travel to Medina with the intention of visiting the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. Those who said it's not allowed, in the top of that list will be Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullahu ta'ala. And Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah was put in jail because of this fatwa, torture because of this fatwa. People said he's kafir because of this fatwa. But they didn't understand that he didn't say it's not allowed to visit. He said it's not allowed to travel to visit. And people said that Ibn Taymiyyah is the only one saying that, and the Wahhabi, Najdi, Saudi people who are saying that. Other than them, everybody else disagree. Is that true? The only Saudi Wahhabi, Ibn Taymiyyah, is the one who said that? Let's examine this. Ibn Taymiyyah died, just keep it in mind, 728 Hijri. Okay? Just keep 700. Let's see who before Imam Ibn Taymiyyah said is not allowed to travel to visit the grave only. Al-Imam Malik died 179. Among the first people who said it's not allowed. And among the Malikis as well, the great Imam al-Qadi Iyad, who said also it's not allowed. And he died 544, so that means 200 years before Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. And also among the ulama, al-Hanabila, Ibn al-Jawzi, and Ibn Battah al-Ukbari, who died 380 something. That's 400 years before Ibn Taymiyyah. Ibn Aqil, the great Hanbali faqih, 513 died. Also, Al-Imam al-Juwayni, al-Shafi'i, al-Kabir, Abu Muhammad, who died 438 at 300 years before Ibn Taymiyyah. One of the greatest imam among the Shafi'iyya. Al-Imam ibn al-Athir died 606, the one who wrote Jami al-Usul. He's also Shafi'i, said it's not allowed. Not only that, people in the time of Ibn Taymiyyah, scholar in his time, when they heard that he was put in jail because his fatwa, he said his fatwa is correct. And they supported him and they wrote to defend his opinion and said that's not something odd or strange. That's a very well respected opinion and evidence supported it. And among them, Al-Imam Ibn Kathir, the famous Mufassir, Al-Imam Ibn Abdul Hadi, his students, Ibn al-Qayyim, his students, and Abu Amr ibn al-Waleed al-Maliki, great Maliki scholars. Ibn al-Qutbi, a great Shafi'i scholar as well, wrote. Muhammad ibn Abdul Rahman al-Baghdadi al-Maliki, and also Ibn al-Bitti, which is a Hanbali scholars, rahimahullah ta'ala. So, is it true that the Wahhabi Najdi only saying that? I'll give you just examples. Al-Imam al-San'ani, the prince, they call him, the Yemeni scholars who died 1180 something. He said the same thing. Let's take another example. The great scholar of India, Siddiq Hasan Khan, who died 1307, said the same thing, and he wrote about that. And also, the Grand Mufti of the Hanafis in Baghdad, Al-Imam al-Kabir, Nu'man ibn Mahmud al-Alusi, in Iraq, died 1317, wrote about this, and he supported Ibn Taymiyyah's opinion. So that lie, that fabrication that people say today, oh, this is just Wahhabi thing, and that's all nonsense. If you examine it, there is no proof for that. And we say, go to the evidence. The best one who wrote to support the idea of visiting the Prophet ﷺ, traveling to visit the Prophet ﷺ's grave, and Imam al-Subki, rahimahullah, great Shafi'i scholars, who wrote a very famous book, it's called Shifa'u al-Siqam fi Ziyarati Khayr al-Anam. And I can tell you the evidence that he used, either it is very weak and fabricated narrations, like what? Like Bilal was in Syria, in Sham, and he saw in his dream, the Prophet ﷺ said, why are you so rude or mean or like, you don't have that soft heart to me anymore. The Prophet telling him, you haven't visited me for a long time. So Bilal got basically distracted and got scared. He put his clothes and put stuff in the camel and start heading towards Medina, and he came to the Prophet ﷺ's grave to give him salam. Oh, he said, that's Bilal did that. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah said, قال هذه القصة علامات الوضع عليها ظاهرة. Ibn Hajar said, even Ibn Hajar support the idea of traveling, but when it comes to a story like this, because he's an honest scholar, he said that this story is nothing but fabricated, clearly fabricated story. And I'm not going to go on and on, but this is a sample. Or a hadith like what I mentioned earlier about Fadl al-Ziyara, and all of them, if you look to Ar-Radd al-Munki ala al-Subki, Ibn Abdul Hadi, he took hadith one by one. He didn't make his own by what the scholar said about these hadith and narrations. The other thing that he used as an evidence to justify this, stories and evidence and narrations talking about someone went to visit the Prophet ﷺ grave. We don't have a problem with that. We have a problem with someone travel a distance to do that. But to be in Medina and to go to visit the Prophet's grave, that's a great thing. Nobody ever said anything about that. Anyway, what I would like to say in the end, that also having the intention of both, to visit the Prophet Masjid and to visit his grave, is it allowed? I believe it's allowed. And Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah also have a statement to support that. And there is a rule عندنا في الفقه تقول يجوز تبعا ما لا يجوز استقلالا. It is allowed to have things as part of other thing, even if it is not allowed by itself. يعني, I'm sorry, I have to explain this. Sometimes the rules goes like that. Sometimes there are certain things by themselves are not allowed, but if they are part of something else, they are allowed. Blood, is it allowed to drink the blood of a cow? What if you take a steak and in the steak there is blood? You like your steak rare. It's allowed because it's part of the steak. But if you squeeze it out, the blood by itself, and take a shot, it's haram. So this is a rule and have manifested in many different ways. So the same thing, you have the intention while you're going to visit the Prophet ﷺ Masjid to visit his grave as well. And that's what the Muslims through centuries been doing. Also the use, he said, didn't the Prophet ﷺ went to visit Masjid Quba? Yeah, visit Quba. That's not traveling. Going to Quba from Medina is not a traveling. You can use this kind of evidence. I would say in the end, this is, yes, an issue of debate. And there is a great scholar, respected scholar, said it's allowed because they understood the hadith of لا تشد الرحال, limited to masajid. We respect that. I don't make a big fight out of it if somebody have the intention to go visit the Prophet's grave. But what I want to say in the end, those ulama like Ibn Hajar and Nawawi and those who allowed this, none of them allowed to go to the grave of the Prophet ﷺ to pray to the Prophet or to say, Ya Rasulullah, help me, or do this for me, or that. That's a different story. That's a shirk billah. They're praying to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's not allowed. Those who allowed going to the Prophet ﷺ's graveyard out of love, out of visiting the Prophet ﷺ, but not to worship the Prophet. Okay? So this is something should be also clear in mind when we talk about visiting the Prophet ﷺ. And as Sufyan al-Thawri used to say, when you come to the Prophet, you give salam to the Prophet ﷺ and to his companions, and you move. Inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a chance to travel together to Medina, I will be happy to show you or to give you more detailed information on how the Prophet ﷺ is actually placed in his grave with his companions, Abu Bakr and Umar, because people see 3 doors and they think each one of them one body, but that's not the case actually. They are all in the middle. The first and the third is empty. There's nothing in it. It's all in the middle, and they are behind each other like this. They're not like this. They are behind each other like this way. Anyway, more detail we will explain inshallah in another time. But this was the last hadith that was mentioned by Al-Imam Ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala in the book of As-Siyam in Fath al-Bari. And if you might ask question, why he ended up with this hadith? Why did he ended up with this hadith? The answer is, you just flip the second page. What do you think the second page will be? Chapter of Hajj. Allah yaftah alik. The chapter of Hajj. So that's why he will talk about Hajj. That's allowed for you to travel to visit the Prophet ﷺ Masjid and the Masjid al-Haram, and to travel there because there is a reward for that. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to infa'ana bima allamna ma yanfa'ana wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Yes.